Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be doing an in-depth look at our 25-26 Colorado Buffaloes football team. We're going to completely break down the schedule, go game by game, try to predict the outcome for the upcoming football season, which games they might win, which they might lose, and which games they might be the underdogs in. We're going to go game by game. We're going to look at every single one of them. Buffalo came on really strong this past season. Colorado really showed what their ceiling is when they continue to get a good performance from their quarterback, but also when their defense finally steps up and finally gets some stops, they can let the offense do what they want to do. They just missed out on 10 wins. They just missed out on the Big 12 championship, but they showed there is a ceiling here. They just have to continue to build that foundation going forward. First things first, though, guys, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments about the Buffaloes or anything else, drop them below, and I will make sure to respond to every single one of them. So Buffalo is a team. Colorado is a team that fielded the Heisman-winning player from last season's team. They had Travis Hunter come in. He showed if you are playing under Deion Sanders is going to make sure you get some screen time. He's going to make sure you get put in front of the cameras. You're going to have the opportunity to showcase whatever your skill set is, whatever you're good at. Offense, defense, he's going to make sure you have your time to shine, and there's also going to be a lot of NIL opportunities. I was very hard on Colorado from their performance in the 23 season, but you have to give Colorado credit. You have to give Deion Sanders credit for what they did their first season in the Big 12. They were a legitimate conference title contender. Had they made it there, they might have won the Big 12. They might have actually found themselves in the playoffs, but gone are their two stars. You have Travis Hunter gone, first-round pick. You have Sheddur Sanders gone, first-round pick. So you have to replace the two most important players on your team. We've always seen Deion Sanders with his son at the quarterback position. How does Deion adapt with now having to set in with a new quarterback going forward? Thankfully for him, he knows how to bring in the stars. He's going to be bringing in freshman Julian Lewis, a very highly ranked five-star quarterback. And then you also have the Liberty transfer, Caden Salter. These guys are going to be battling it out for the quarterback starting job. Spring football, they're going to be competing. But it shows that the quarterback position, the most important position on the field, is at least in good hands going forward. What does a quarterback need? They need an offensive line. 23, the offensive line was Swiss cheese, gave up a lot of sacks, gave up a lot of quarterback carries. They made a lot of moves in the offseason to bring in a lot of transfers for the 24-25 season. They did accomplish that successfully. They continued to do that this past offseason. 25-26, that offensive line continues to get better, continues to get a stronger foundation. They're going to have Jordan Seaton. They're going to have the center Cash Cleveland, and they have a lot of transfers coming in. This is going to be an offensive line that is much improved over last season's, and they continue to churn out every single season a very strong, young wide receiver core. They have the bodies, they have speed, they have slot guys. They can beat you multiple ways. And that defense went from one of the worst last season to actually leading the Big 12 in tackles for a loss and sacks. That front seven last year massively made up for it, took massive steps forward. Yes, they lost their defensive line coach, but this team is going to continue to build itself on the defensive front, continue to be more competitive. That's going to help out the offense. It's going to help out the young quarterback. That's going to help them find their foundation. When you can run the ball, they still have to work on running that ball, but if they can get that run game going, that's definitely going to help them once they open up with that play action. But let's take a look at this schedule. Let's start running through here. Let's go game by game for the Colorado Buffaloes football schedule. When you look at the screen there, you have the games. Now, these are the Vegas picks. I'm not saying who's going to win or lose. This is who Vegas early preseason predicts is going to win, lose, or if it's a toss-up matchup. The red is the underdog. That's where Vegas preseason predicts him to lose. Yellow, toss-up. Blue is the games that, as of right now, they are going to be favored in. Very tough out-of-conference schedule. They start things off Friday, August 29th, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. If you're a Buffaloes fan, they have a pretty strong fan base right now, especially with the success they had last season. You might roll your eyes because Vegas actually has this marked as a toss-up. Do not, I repeat, do not underestimate the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia definitely did last season. They almost lost. They'll have a healthy Haynes King. This is one of the most versatile quarterbacks in college football. He can throw for 3,000 yards. He can run for 1,000 yards. And they're also going to have a healthy Jamal Haynes, a 1,000-yard back from the ACC. A very talented team, physical team. They're going to establish it on the run. That's where Colorado's front seven is really going to come into play. If they can shut down the run game of Georgia, easier said than done. They have a real chance here to start off the season with a very strong win, build some momentum going forward. And thankfully for them, Georgia Tech has to travel all the way to Colorado to start out their season. That's the advantage for the Buffaloes. If you force me to bet, I'd probably go with Colorado winning this one as of right now, but I definitely see why it is a toss-up according to Vegas. This matchup is truly a 50-50 game here for this one. And then obviously the next game, the Delaware Blue Hens. This game is also in Boulder, Colorado. This is no trap game here. They're not going to stumble here. No matter what happens to the Georgia Tech game, they are going to beat the brakes off of Delaware. They're going to blow them out 50, 60 points. But if you beat Georgia, you see they get to that 2-0 point. They start building up some momentum. The back portion of their schedule's pretty loaded, so you want to win as many games as you can that first half. And then after that, they're going to be going to the Houston Cougars, playing them. Cougars had a really bad season last year, but they lost their coach. They lost their entire starting roster to the transfer portal. They had to bring in a lot of guys, and they are bringing in Connor Wegman from the Texas A&M Aggies. He's shown that he has a high ceiling. He's shown that he has a very low floor. What version of Connor Wegman shows up here? He's capable of success, but he's also capable of throwing a lot of interceptions. Colorado's goal, use that front seven, get a lot of pressure on him, potentially force some turnovers here. I have Colorado winning this game. We're going to go with another blue star for this matchup. And then after that, you have the Wyoming game. They will be coming to Boulder, Colorado. Wyoming had a really tough season this past season. They only won 3 games. Colorado, the Buffaloes, they should be able to establish themselves here, continue to build that momentum. They have a real opportunity here to be starting out the season 4-0. Worst case scenario, at least 3-1. They're going to be favored here. They're going to be able to beat the Wyoming Cowboys. And then after that, you potentially have a revenge game. This is going to be a very, very tough game. You're going to be playing BYU Cougars. Vegas right now has this marked as a toss-up. I would not be surprised if BYU comes into this game as the favorites. Don't roll your eyes on that. BYU, actually a really good team last season. They were in the top 10 for a while, finished top 15. Don't forget, Colorado played BYU in the bowl game. BYU dominated that game on both sides of the field, offense, defense. They are bringing back a lot of their starters. They beat Colorado, when they had Sheddur Sanders, when they had Travis Hunter, they still beat them. Now Colorado bringing in a lot of good players. Now, that doesn't mean that just because BYU won the game in 24, that they'll be able to win it in 25, but you want to be conscious of that. Colorado more than capable of winning this game. They have potentially the more talented team roster-wise, but BYU, very well-coached team, very disciplined team. If they can establish the run and keep that defense up, it could be a long day for Colorado, but a lot of this is going to hinge on how well has Colorado played at the quarterback position that first 4 games, and can they keep that momentum going through the BYU week? Now, after that, we are starting to get deeper into Big 12 play. You have a lot of outlier teams from the Big 12 here on the Colorado Buffalo schedule. A lot of teams that are going to be falling in that 8-win point. That's a tough game. That means if you don't have your best performance that week, a lot of these Big 12 teams are more than capable of beating you. While the Big 12 might not be loaded with the big brands that some of the other conferences have, they are a very deep conference. You have to make sure to bring your A game week in, week out. They're going to be at the TCU Horned Frogs. This was Deion Sanders' first game at Colorado. They came in. That game was a shootout versus TCU, who was just coming off of having gone to the national championship. This is not that team, but this is a team, a top 10 passing team in the nation this past season. Yes, they have a lot of holes on defense, but they will be able to score with you. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Colorado's secondary to be able to control the game, keep the game in front of you, and then that front seven is going to have a lot of success getting a lot of pressure on TCU's quarterback. But thankfully for them, there's going to be opportunities for the Buffaloes to be able to score on TCU's defense. Vegas has this as a toss-up as well. This is one of those games we just are going to have to wait to see what performance we get that first half out of Colorado on the offensive side. Now, if you're counting here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th straight game without a bye week. At this point, Colorado's going to be pretty wore out. They've gone through some tough games. They've had some shootouts here. They're going to be physically tired, and then they have to play number 11 Iowa State Cyclones. Matt Campbell, very disciplined, always have a top 30 defense. They always run the ball. They always have good play action. They're physical at the line of scrimmage. Iowa State's going to be rested here. Colorado Buffaloes, they are not going to be rested. This is not the type of game that you want to be playing 7 straight weeks, and you have Iowa State, who finished last season in the top 20. They're going to be coming after you. They want to beat you. Did not have the opportunity to do so last season. This has trap game written all over it. Vegas definitely sees it. They actually have the Colorado Buffaloes as the underdog right here. Even if Colorado's rolling, this is one of those games you are rolling, but the speed's starting to slow down because you need that bye week. So they have Colorado as the underdogs. They could potentially lose this one. And then, unfortunately for them, they have the bye week after they play Iowa. They would have loved to have had it prior to the Iowa State game. And then after that bye week, they're going to be at the Utah Utes. Very tough place to play, but Vegas has this listed with the Colorado Buffaloes being the favorite. I do agree with that. Utah, you got to get the quarterback situation sorted out. Obviously, Cam Rising was not the answer. The guy was constantly hurt nonstop. He'd come out, he'd get hurt, he'd get knocked out. And this is a game that Colorado actually won pretty handedly last season, to where Whittingham said, that's the best team that we've played on our schedule this entire year. Colorado, you've beaten them before, but one thing Utah always has going for them, no matter how bad their offense is, yes, they had a good run game last season, they always have a legit top 20, sometimes even a top 10 defense. They get after it. They are physical. You have to compete with them for not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 quarters of physicality. And this game is going to be at Utah. It is a very tough place, but I do believe that you have to, as of right now, list Colorado as the favorite. They have more going for them currently right now. Cam Rising let the Utah fans down. They can capture this one this season, but early on, we have to go with Colorado as the preseason favorites in this matchup. And then after that, we're going to be looking at Saturday, November 1st, the Arizona Wildcats. This game also in Boulder, Colorado. Arizona, that was one of those teams, they had to replace Fish as the coach. You have Brennan's offense here. You have Fafita back as the quarterback, but McMillan's gone. They lost their primary playmaker. They had an awful season last season. They really honestly had nothing going for them. Did not have a consistent good offense. Did not have a good defense. It's going to take a lot for them to come out here. They're going to have to prosper. Fafita's going to have to get back to that 2023 form, but he'd be doing that without his weapon. He'd be doing that without his old coaching staff. Colorado, you have more momentum right now. You have the better roster. You have the higher talented roster. You know that you can beat this team. It's an old Pac-12 rival. Colorado, they come into this matchup. They are the early preseason favorite to win this game as well. And then after that, we're going to be at the West Virginia Mountaineers. This game's going to be in Morgantown, West Virginia. The man himself is back as the head coach. You have the return of Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rodriguez, one of the best offensive minds in college football history. What he did back in the early 2000s revolutionized the up-tempo spread offense. Him, Chip Kelly, those guys brought the new type of offense back to football. But it's not 2004, 2005, 2006 no more. College football has completely changed. Rich Rodriguez has made the entire circle. He is back in Morgantown right now. Will the second round be as successful as the first round? One thing he's going to need is some time. Time to get his players in there, time to develop them, time to get that offense solidified for the Mountaineers. It might not work this season. They're going to have some games where they're going to look like they have it all. Then they're going to have some games where they look like they've taken a couple steps back. Obviously, with this team, Colorado at this point, they've had some rest. They should be rolling on the offensive side. That line should be holding up. They should have developed a great run game at this point. The offensive line should be capable of leaning on opponents, picking up some yardage on the ground. So we're going to go with Colorado also being favored here to beat the West Virginia Mountaineers in our preseason schedule ranking. And then we have the Arizona, after a bye week, you got to make sure you get that bye week. It's been a little difficult stretch there. You have the Arizona State Sun Devils coming to Boulder, Colorado. This is a team that won the Big 12 last season, first year in the Big 12. Scadaboo's gone, but they still have their quarterback. They still have their coach, and they are getting after it. Dillingham, great season there for the Sun Devils. This is a very physical team. They almost beat Texas, should have beaten Texas in the playoffs, should have made it to the next round. If Colorado comes in here sleeping on the Sun Devils, and they haven't been paying attention to what this team did last season. We know they're going to have a physical defense. We know they're going to have an offense, and their offense is geared around the run game. Both running the ball downhill, a physical run game, but also with their quarterback who can sling the ball, but he also has the legs to show some mobility. He can scramble for those first downs. This is a team, Sam Levitt, They have the run game. They're going to have a healthy wide receiver core. Last season, they were not able to finish. Tyson was out. They were not able to finish with a fully healthy wide receiver core. A lot of those guys should be back. Vegas has the Sun Devils as one of the favorites to not just compete in the Big 12, but win the Big 12, and that puts Colorado here as the underdog. But honestly, there is no shame in losing to the Sun Devils. They are the reigning Big 12 champs from last season. In our final game of the season, this was a really close one last year. Kansas State stole it at the very end. We're going to be at the Kansas State Wildcats, Manhattan, Kansas. This is a team with a lot of returning production. They know how to win the Big 12. They've been recent Big 12 champions before. They have their coach. They have Avery Johnson back, the highest recruited player in Kansas State history. They have Dylan Edwards back. They have a lot of production coming back here. They have playmakers in the position where it counts, but one thing that they do is Kansas State is very good at coaching and playing to this skill talent position on their roster. They adapt their game plan to whatever their playmakers are capable of doing here. They beat Colorado last season with Colorado's best players on the staff. Kansas State is going to be one of the teams ranked up there to win the Big 12 potentially. Vegas has the Colorado Buffaloes on the road here as the underdog. Can Colorado beat them? Definitely. Can Kansas State beat Colorado? Definitely. No matter what, Vegas right now is predicting Colorado at 6.5 wins. We have them at least favored to win 6. That's at least. And then you have 3 toss-up games, and then you have 3 underdog games. Guys, that's just a quick rundown of our 25 schedule. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.